In this movie, you take a look at startup templates, which were introduced in 3ds Max 2015 Extension 2. When 3ds Max 2015 was released, a welcome screen would pop up every time you start the application. Depending on your personal preference, you may have opted to disable the feature, in which case you can call up the welcome screen again using the Help menu. The welcome screen has three sections: a Learn section that links you to various learning resources, including this channel in fact, an Extend section, which links you to other useful online resources from where you could get content, and a default Start section that lists the recent files you've worked on. More importantly, take a look at the section related to creating a new scene. In addition to starting a new scene, this section would also enable you to choose a specific workspace and set a project folder. It is this section that is the subject of this discussion, as it has been quite nicely overhauled for 3ds Max 2015 Extension 2 and beyond. When you update your 3ds Max 2015 installation with Extension 2, you are presented with a new welcome dialog when you launch the application. In fact, it is quite similar to the old one, except for the section about creating a new scene. This section has been replaced by Startup Templates. There are 5 sample templates that ship with the product, but you can add your own. The 5 sample templates are meant to appeal to various tastes. Classic Startup is basically an empty scene, much like when you use the 3ds Max Reset tool, so you'll feel on familiar ground with this one. The others are more varied, from architectural and outdoor scenes to studio rendering and even an underwater setup. When you hover over or select a template, a small description appears that gives you a hint as to its purpose. If you click the More link, additional information is shown, including a description and other parameters the template is based upon. Should you decide to use this template, these parameters, such as units and rendering setup among others, will be used as a basis for your next project. To use a template as a startup, you first select it, and then click the New Using Selected Template button. The welcome screen disappears, and your new project is started based on that particular template. In this case, the new project is empty because it was based on the classic startup template. Let's try another. Bring back the welcome screen using the Help menu. Try the Architectural Outdoor 3 p.m. template. This time, it's a bit different. The scene is not empty. You can see a terrain and an object mimicking a building in the center of it. The UI in general is also a bit different, as it is using a new design standard workspace. This new workspace includes a new design ribbon that helps automate tasks that are specific to the design industry. The viewport layout of 1 and 3 is also part of this startup template. As you recall, the name of the template referred to 3 p.m., and you'll note that the daylight system is set accordingly. Rendering parameters, such as rendering engine choice and resolution, are also set within the template. In essence, most parameters that would normally take up a fair amount of time have been already set for you. Try the other templates to get a feel for what they have to offer. The Outdoor Hdri Courtyard uses an Hdri image for image lighting purposes. The scene includes a camera, a direct light, a skylight that uses the Hdri data to help with scene illumination, and there is a cylinder object simulating the ground that has a shadow matte material applied. It is meant to catch shadows and reflections to ensure objects that you create are well integrated with the background. The studio scene template simulates a studio lighting scenario that is often used for product design. This startup scene is fairly more elaborate than the other ones you've experimented with so far. For one thing, there are far more objects present, and many are essential to this setup. Without going much into detail, the most important objects are the curved backdrop and the various light objects. The backdrop is curved to minimize hard angles and shadows where the wall meets the floor. As for the lights, there are various ones that are part of elaborate groups. Many are used to simulate reflectors, which are essential in studio photography. There are also a couple of cameras present that you can adjust or use as is. Of course, the idea is to have your own objects to model, import, or merge for rendering purposes. As an example, here's a furniture set I found on the Trimble 3D warehouse. It features a Herman Miller lounge chair and an ottoman that would be perfect candidates for studio photography. This is often how companies like Herman Miller or IKEA fill their catalogs. Lastly, try the underwater startup template. This is arguably a more specialized scenario, as it makes extensive use of fog effects and even particle systems to simulate marine life and plankton. It gives you a head start if this is your goal, as setting up such an underwater environment is no easy task. Now that you know how to use startup templates, the next step is to learn how to manage them. It's a process you learn about in another movie on this channel entitled Managing Startup Templates.